Hello, my English 101 students. We are going to start Unit 2 this week, so I just wanted to do a little introductory video as to what Unit 2 is going to be about. Unit 2 is about social media. It asks you to take a deeper look at social media and examine the habits that you have, the habits of others, why we use social media, what the advantages are, what the disadvantages are, etc. To best prepare for this unit, I've asked you to read two articles. The first article is titled Growing Up Tethered by Sherry Turkle, and the second article is titled The Quagmire of Social Media Friendships by Curtis Silver. First of all, what is social media? Social medias are technologies that facilitate sharing of information and creation of content in relation to just about anything via virtual communities. This content can be connected and related to literally anything imaginable, and it allows us to share it through these virtual communities that we often call our friends. To take a deeper look into examining what social media does in our world, we have to think about the different things that are connected to social media. So I am going to provide you with a list of topics that I think you should look into a little bit more. I am also going to provide you with a list of topics that you are not allowed to argue about. The reason being is that sometimes they have very obvious arguments behind them. For example, you wouldn't want to argue that social media has made communication easier. You really want to argue things that people might disagree with, that might open up new conversations about social media, that could inform the users of the risks of social media, or just to kind of teach people a little bit more about social media by bringing in your argument based on the research that you're going to do. So speaking of research, you will have to use 3 sources to support your argument. The first source must come from class. I am going to provide you with about 6 to 8 articles that you can pick from. You will have to use one of them in your essay. The second source will be your own researched source. You can research the sources through the school's library database, which you have access to at home. If you are having trouble with research at home, remember that you can still utilize the library in 2 ways. The first way will be to sign up for a research workshop through the library website, which will be right down here. You can also use this same website to contact a librarian and get help in using the databases that we have through the library. So as I mentioned earlier, I am going to show you a list of topics, which is what's going to be coming up next. Please take a look at the topics, and I would look into the ones that you think that you connect to the most. This is going to make writing the essay a lot easier. You're going to be more interested in it. And at the end of this video, you will find some more details about Unit 2, social media. So as I explained before, we're going to take a look at some possible topics for argument. Just a reminder, you are allowed to combine these in any way that you wish. Another thing to notice is that some of them are written as questions, as you can see here, and other ones are written as topics, as you can see here. If it is written as a question, you would have to turn it into an argument. If the question asks, is social networking the reason behind an alienated society? You would turn this into a statement of argument, such as, social networking is the reason behind an alienated society because, and then you would list your reasons why. So let's go through some of these together. Should social networking be banned from educational institutes? Does social networking cause lapse in concentration? Should employers scan the social network profile of their employees? People are becoming shallower because of social networking. Are social networks making a mockery of private life? Should there be a watchdog on a person's social activity? Protesting over social networks is fruitless. Do you agree? In this case, you wouldn't just simply agree or disagree with this because this is asking you a question. You would make a statement of argument, again, something along the lines of protesting over social networks is fruitless because, and then you would provide the reasoning behind your argument. Are social networks being used to spread propaganda and hate messages? Is social networking just a new addiction? Are social networks bringing down productivity at the workplace? Should students be allowed to access social networks using the school Wi-Fi? People present a different projection of themselves on the internet? Do people start to believe in these new identities that they create? As in, if they project themselves as some type of person, do they actually start to believe that they are that person in real life? False identities? How about, are we addicted to social media or are we addicted to not being alone? If you read Sherry Turkle's article titled Growing Up Tethered, this one is very relevant to that article. Are we addicted to social media or just to technology in general? As in, is it the social media that's addictive or the cell phone that we're using? Has social media desensitized us? Does social media affect platonic relationships more than romantic relationships? How about the effects of social media are dependent on the user? So maybe social media can be addictive, but it really depends on the user. Here are some off-limit topics. This means you are not allowed to write essays about this. I do not want to see a single essay written about any of these topics. Social media has made communication better, or anything related to changes in communication. This is not really an argument, as it has in fact made communication easier. Comparing previous methods of communication to more recent times. This is not a compare and contrast essay, so please do not compare old methods of communication to new methods of communication. Negative or positive aspects of social media in general, as in here are the positives and here are the negatives. This is not just an informational essay, this is an argument. You need to pick a side and you need to make an argument about it. Social media is both good and bad. This is where you basically just don't take a side. It's very similar to the one above it, but it's not really an argument. This is just an examination of things and deciding what's good about it and what's bad about it. That is not an argument. Here are some images that you can take a look at that give you kind of two different perspectives on social media. On the left-hand side, we see somebody who is overwhelmed by the amount of social media. And on the right-hand side, we see a very different perspective in that it's positive, it's about connecting and chatting and sharing. This unit will be built like the rest of the units in the class so far. You are going to find it in modules titled Unit 2 Social Media, and this will include the PowerPoint, this video that you're watching right now. It will include a PowerPoint on argumentation style and how to write an argumentative essay. It will include all of the articles that I will offer you to use as your source from class, and it is also going to include the assignment itself that you will submit to. Remember that the first thing you want to do, as always, is to read the page that says "Read me first." This page is going to list out all of the details necessary to understand Unit 2 and how to complete the module correctly.